Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out American tourist attacked in Germany after he did this. So we will see if who was it wrong, what happened. So yeah, before we do start off, you can subscribe, click the bell button. If you have video requests, let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. But not really. Yes, I will, but let's do this first.
Part of my lip here, part of severed my nose in two, and part of my lip here, part of my eye actually. It just nicked the eyelid, just a centimeter off, and I would have lost my eye for sure. And also down on my face over here. I don't know if you guys can see it.
So on this channel, I do a lot of content of Americans traveling to Europe or Europeans visiting America and whatnot, but specifically Americans getting some backlash for not expanding their minds and eventually turning a new leaf and traveling and exploring the world and learning that the world is bigger than just the United States of America. Americans have gotten a lot of backlash for holding the United States as the #1 supreme power in the world. So it's funny sometimes to see some tongue-in-cheek jokes from other countries making fun of Americans abroad, but this story is actually pretty serious, very serious, and also very heroic from an American. So there was a 21-year-old tourist from upstate New York by the name John Rudat that wound up traveling to Dresden, Germany. For any of you guys that have watched this channel, you know that I visited Dresden last year for my camper tour, and it was an amazing experience for me, a little different and kind of jarring in some aspects considering it is definitely East Germany, so it had that East Germany vibe to it. But apparently while this tourist was on a train, there was an altercation.
So I had entered the tram.
Okay, I have no knowledge about what the difference are. East, west, south, north, like I don't know. So somebody explained to me what he meant by, because you know how East Germany's are. I don't know what they are, so you tell me in the comments because no clue. Cannot tell you.
While this tourist was on a train, there was an altercation.
So I had entered the tram with my host brother and my friend, and we took seats right
Mm.
next to a woman at the time that was later going to be the one that was assaulted by that initial man.
Apparently, there was a man that was bothering two women on the train that he was on. And of course, he kind of let things slide a little bit because it was all verbal at first, and then it became physical.
The man came over, started
Mm.
disturbing her, started harassing her, touching her. I stood up, intervened, vocalized the fact that I did not approve of what he was doing. I told him to stop.
What I've noticed is there is a huge problem with the bystander effect. When things do happen, for instance, I had seen incidents like that in Germany where if things did get physical between people, a lot of individuals would just walk by.
Okay. Note, when you go to Germany, hone your skills on self-defense. Oh yeah, some balls are coming off. Okay. Um, yes, they could have a weapon. So I need to put in my list how to low key a little bit knowledge. Or if it's a knife, it's a gun. I'm over. So, but if it's a knife, maybe we have a chance. Okay, so learn more how to disarm people with a weapon. Okay, there we go. Note. Scary.
Where if things did get physical between people, a lot of individuals would just walk by and not do anything. I think in America it's a bit different. People do like to intervene and de-escalate if they can, or at least help separate people if they can. I'm not sure if that's a common occurrence, but that's just from what I've observed. Anyways, he decided to create some space between him and the women, and the individual directed his attention towards John. So John's trying to separate the women from the attacker, and the women and stuff are, obviously very grateful. Little did John know that this attacker had an accomplice.
But he continued to try to attack
Oh,
me, and at that
shit.
time I heard a quick click. I looked to the right and I saw a man that I had never seen before with a brutal expression on his face lift up his hand and cut me in the face with a knife.
One of the men started pummeling
Oh.
Rudat, and his accomplice slashed him across the face.
If you don't see it
Disturbing video
coming,
posted on X shows the American model and newly qualified paramedic bleeding profusely from his face, with blood splattered over the floor of the tram, along with tissues being used by other passengers
And where are
to treat
they?
his wounds.
And the second he turns around, his accomplice slashes him across the face, cutting his nose, his upper lip, and his cheek.
Interview since the frightening ordeal,
Oh.
Rudat told German journalist Julian Reichelt that he was nearly blinded by the attack.
Severed my nose in two, and part of my lip here, part of my eye actually, it just nicked the eyelid.
What would you guys Okay. Would you guys be like, okay, next time don't get involved? Would you say that to him? What advice would you give to John or any tourist who's going to Germany? Would you say, oh, don't get involved, or okay, do this instead so you can be safe, or what? Because obviously we cannot just sit down and watch somebody, getting abused. Maybe it's part of culture. In the Philippines, we are 50-50. Some people don't care because they don't want to like get involved. It's not their business. And then there's 50% of people who are like, yeah, we're getting involved. Um, there was an incident. It wasn't really like we don't know really what. But there was this guy and girl, you know, girl doesn't want to go with guy keeps pulling her, they're fighting. So my friends and I were just like, yeah, we have to watch and see. And there's a security guard in front of them, so the girl was, it's like she fast walked to the security guard because I think she didn't want to go with this guy, but it seemed like they knew each other because they were together until they weren't together. I think she got pissed or she got angry and she's like, I'm not going with you wherever we're going. And she walked towards the security guard, just stand next to him, and they talked a little bit. The security guard was there for a while. And we were also watching the whole thing because we wanted to see what happens, because as soon as like something happens, we're gonna like jump on. Maybe, we don't know. I'm impulsive, so I don't know what will happen in the moment, really. I cannot tell you in advance what my heart will do because my brain has no stance most of the time. My brain just realizes what's happening when it's too late. So yeah, we just watched to see how things were and it seemed okay. They were talking and we left, but still behind my back I was like, we shouldn't have. We should have gone there to kind of like ask what was happening. But in these circumstances, it's really hard to know what to do in a moment. So if you guys have any advice, let me know down in the comment, especially in your country. Okay, let's go back.
And part of my lip here, part of my eye actually, it just nicked the eyelid. Just a centimeter off, and I would have lost my eye for sure. And also down on my face over here. I don't know if you guys can see it.
There is video footage of people recording him right afterward, like the aftermath of his face being leaky, and the individuals on the train lend him whatever they have, tissues, cloths, whatever, to help cover up the wound on his face. I thought it was very heroic, obviously, because there are way too many. I guess I've seen a heightened amount of attacks, especially knife attacks in Germany specifically, and this has been over the last, at least from what I've observed, over the last 5 years. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going on. I think some of you guys have informed me of what's been happening out there and whatnot, but it's getting insane. What I found ridiculous, and what he found ridiculous as well, is the individual that was responsible for slashing him in the face and harassing the women. First of all, I'm pretty sure they're two different individuals, but they both work together. So the individual that was responsible for slashing the gentleman's face was eventually arrested and then released, and he was outraged.
They could do this to the people of Germany and then just get released 12 hours later, even less at this point. Where's the law? Where's the structure?
The guy physically attacked him and, opened up his face. So there was huge backlash all over the internet. So much backlash that 12 hours later, he was detained again. The individual that wound up slicing his face was detained again. And I guess there's a huge discussion right now between people in America online and people all over Europe about the laws, specifically, I guess, in Germany, and if they are strict enough for people like this that decide to commit heinous acts like this.
Y'all didn't think that Europe had an immigration problem, especially Germany? Let me drop some knowledge on here. It is 11:57 right now. In 3 minutes, that man that assaulted that young woman yesterday will be released from custody. He'll be released from custody because he's not a citizen of Germany. He's not a citizen of the EU for that matter. He doesn't even
Uh,
belong in here.
okay, so I think the how do you call this? I think a lot of Germans or even Europeans will say, Rookie, the problem is not us. The problem is the immigrants or the illegal immigrants or immigrants in general. Yeah. So I think, I don't know. It's really super hard to see what to do, where to stand, in this type of instance or circumstances. It's really tough. But you guys can give me your 2 cents on this situation because I would love to read them in the comments. So thank you.
A citizen of Germany. He's not a citizen of the EU for that matter. He doesn't even belong in here.
He said
Mm.
it wasn't a color issue, it wasn't a political issue, it was simply an individual on the train making these women feel unsafe, and he stepped in to put them in a safer situation. And I do find that to be very heroic. Again, I do a lot of videos where I do dunk on Americans all the time, and I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, I'm an American myself, right? So I dunk on myself. I'm like, man, like, I did this wrong, and my perception of this was wrong. But I do think that's something that I do admire from this individual, and I do see it in a good chunk of Americans is this selfless behavior. He saw somebody that was in danger and he did what he thought was right, and because of that, 2 lives are now saved. He has a scar on his face, as you guys can see.
Certainly, I'll have a scar, but
Yeah.
it was worth it, and I'll wear it with pride.
In his interview, Rudat said the attack boiled down to simply a problem of violence, and that the problem to me wasn't anybody's skin color, wasn't anybody's race. It was the fact that a woman was being harassed and assaulted.
What makes this even more remarkable is he is a model, right? So obviously, in a profession where you have to show your face to the
Oh,
world 24/7, this definitely
you shouldn't worry about that. Balenciaga models, you can go there. Like the more unique you are, the more, different you are, the better. And I think modeling agencies nowadays are going to incorporate that, to be honest. So you should be fine.
profession where you have to show your face to the world 24/7, this definitely changes a lot of things and whatnot. But it was very eye opening, and I thought I should cover it because it is something that I do think is a very serious problem. And I have seen again over the last 5 years way way more articles specifically from Germany of knife attacks and what have
Mm.
you, from just Germany alone. I mean, we're not talking about any other country in Europe, just specifically Germany alone. And the perpetrators getting away with doing this. So I don't know what needs to be done at all. I just know it's insane, and I'm glad somebody stepped up to protect those two women and whatnot. It's wild. But let me know what you guys' thoughts and feelings are in the comments down below. Whether or not you would have made the same decision, the same choice if you saw something like this happen in front of you, or if it would have been too much and maybe you would have called for help. I think that this was such a sporadic event that I don't think he could have called anybody. He had to act in the moment, or they would have definitely been in a very unfortunate situation. I mean, as you saw, he got,
Mm.
got hurt, and they could have very well, they were getting actively hurt as well, but not on the same level he was. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So let me know what you guys' thoughts and feelings are in the comments down below. This video is a little bit more serious than my usual topics and whatnot, but I'll see you very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.
That's it. Um, yeah, that's an unfortunate situation. I don't know what their aim was. Those dickheads, obviously. Like, what do they want to do with the girls? I always advocate for, I'm always like, a man versus a bear, that whole situation. I'm always like, I'll choose a human being over an animal because animals never liked me, to be honest. But when you hear this type of stuff, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense why a lot of people be like, I'm gonna choose the bear. I don't know. Still, I don't know. Like, hope in humanity just keeps going down and down each and every day. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye.